What's up guys, I'm Dean, aka the Blue Crusader, and you're watching Crusader Shorts. Welcome back to the channel. I haven't been uploading in quite some days, but with the new Last Jedi DLC coming out next month, followed by the new Project Resurrection campaign showing us all about what Project Resurrection actually is, I thought it'd be time to actually drop my theories on this before the actual DLC came out. So, without further ado, I'm going to break into a few different theories which I've been scripting and writing down in the past couple of days and try and go in depth and talk to you about what I think Project Resurrection is and what it's going to be in the new Battlefront 2 game. So as a side note before we start the video, Project Resurrection's DLC is coming out soon, so we will find out more about it. However, these are just my theories. So I'm going to break into some of the ideas and theories I've had through the past couple of days, and although these are my theories and they are based off specific facts in the game, they are still my theories and may still not be actually what Project Resurrection actually turns out to be. But I want to tell you my theories and opinions before the DLC actually comes out, just to see how accurate they are to the actual storyline, because I'm really excited to see what EA actually reveal Project Resurrection to actually be in the storyline. So I've written all my theories and ideas in bullet points down here, and I'm going to highlight them and explain them a little bit. So the first point I had was Project Resurrection itself being the rebirth or the resurrection, hence Project Resurrection being the name of Snoke himself, to give the First Order a new leader and to train Kylo. So I'm not sure if the whole idea from the start was actually to train Kylo, because Kylo has come into the place at this point if you played the Battlefront 2 storyline, or if you've seen the ending, which you can also see me break down when I explain the whole story. I have got a video explaining the whole 4-hour campaign in about 20 minutes, so I would refer to that if you don't know the storyline. But basically, Kylo appears at the end and he mentions something called Project Resurrection which comes into play, and we do see him at the end, so he's definitely part of this, although we're not sure if it's actually Supreme Leader Snoke himself who's already there and who has given the commands, or if he's not in the scene yet. So this could be quite an interesting thing. Because we don't know this could be something to do with Kylo searching for Supreme Leader Snoke, maybe him getting resurrected. So my second idea was this being part of the Emperor's plan. So there were a few different notes in the Battlefront 2 storyline where the Emperor does show through a holographic droid, and he admits his plans, such as destroying his observatories and destroying certain parts of the Empire so it can't live on after him. Also some theories about it being able to live on after his death as well, but not the Galactic Empire as we know it, living on without Palpatine. I think Project Resurrection could have been part of the Emperor's plan, maybe reinitiating an empire on the same belief system as his, but not exactly the same empire, because they were destroying a lot of the evidence and certain things of the current Galactic Empire to, I guess, pave way for the new First Order. So this could be part of the Emperor's plan. Perhaps the Emperor discovered the body of Supreme Leader Snoke, or Supreme Leader Snoke could have been a surrogate host body, or some sort of body to host, to resurrect a pre-existing dark side user. Maybe think Vader, or perhaps even Palpatine himself. So there are obviously expanded universe content which has been made non-canon so far in the new Disney storyline, where the Emperor did transfer his spirit through the Force into different host bodies, using something called essence transfer, and this allowed him to actually stay alive after the episode 6 story arc. I didn't read too heavily into this, but perhaps this is actually an opportunity for Disney to actually bring this into the canon. So this could be an interesting theory. Just a small theory I had. I did discredit a lot of the theories such as Vader, etc. and the Grand Inquisitor being Supreme Leader Snoke, because it didn't seem feasible when people just compared the scars. But if it could just be them actually being transferred the essence through the Force into a new body, it could be plausible perhaps. So also another side note, there is a small story arc which regards Plagueis, Anakin and Palpatine and the use of Sith knowledge to learn to stop people from dying. This is in the episode 3 storyline. It's referred to in the theatre or the pantomime sort of scene with Palpatine to Anakin, and I will present my own theory on the possibility of cloning methods. However, what if Palpatine learned the secret to resurrection, or preventing one's death was basically the canonization of the expanded universe's story arc of Palpatine using essence transfer, which I actually mentioned before. This could support the theory of Palpatine actually carrying on Supreme Leader Snoke, and possibly even play into the actual idea of Snoke being a new character as well, because technically it would be a completely different host body. So for this to actually be plausible and actually be realistic, perhaps Snoke is a body like we mentioned before, a surrogate body or a host body Palpatine used as a means of essence transfer during or after his death to continue his empire and transfer his spirit to Snoke as a host or surrogate body, or even if not transfer his spirit, but transfer or share his knowledge with the individual known as Snoke. So my theory is Snoke is perhaps an ancient Sith Lord, even if he is a new character at that Palpatine discovered or perhaps even shared knowledge with, and maybe wanted to resurrect to take his place. Maybe Project Resurrection is not only to resurrect Snoke, but also to perhaps to actively repair his deep wounds and fractured body, as he is primarily bound to his throne, as we can see in the new trailer, in the hologram, as he is nearly decrepit. Note in the trailer, Snoke leaves his throne to use some kind of force stasis power on Rey. It is unclear if his legs appear shorter or if he's on his knees during this clip, but he does look a lot shorter, and this could be perhaps he is kneeling because he's bound to his throne usually. So, like in one of my older videos where I debunked a lot of the Supreme Leader Snoke theories, a lot of these theories I have now are actually playing some of these debunked theories into an actual realistic situation, and some of my theories are based off other theories or similar in regard. For example, an even more ridiculously wild theory that I mentioned before that I will take credit for is perhaps noting on the Vader theory, which is aforementioned by other people. Perhaps Snoke is not actually originally Vader himself, as this wouldn't adhere to him being a new unique character, but what if Palpatine cloned Anakin after his injuries on Mustafar? And this clone is what is getting resurrected from a deep sleep from a chamber and is now being healed of his wounds, and an explanation for some greying or aging of Snoke is part of the healing process or aging storage process of keeping the clone in a bacta tank or in stasis for so many years, which would also slow the aging but still mean the clone would have aged to a certain degree. Return of the Jedi is many years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, since Episode 4 is around 19 years after Revenge of the Sith, and Force Awakens is set 30 years after Return of the Jedi. Somewhere around the Force Awakens timeline would leave the clone fairly aged, even with slowed aging perhaps, and perhaps any deformities are from imperfect cloning from physical features, but maybe Snoke, although physically impaired, is extremely strong in the Force, as he wouldn't be impaired by any sort of suit as Vader was, or ailments such as severed hands, which broke some connections to the Force, preventing the use of certain powers. Whether Vader or not, Palpatine keeping the body of an ancient Sith Lord and having a plan for the resurrection of him, or preparing some sort of clone, is still my theory. But it would seem my clone theory could still be plausible without being Vader. However, a cloned Vader from that time period would fall into the canon of it being a new character. In my Snoke theories debunk video, and some of my earlier Snoke videos, my other descriptions of one of my own personal theories were speculating that perhaps Jakku was an ancient Sith planet or burial site that perhaps Palpatine would have journeyed to in order to discover an adept Force user or ancient Sith user's body as a surrogate host to transfer a spirit to. Also note that in one of the novels that I noted in my past video, it does say that Jakku was once a forest-like planet with oceans. Remember how many uninhabited worlds Palpatine often ventured to, or uses locations for his personal structures and studies, such as the observatory scene in Battlefront 2 storyline on Palaio, which was just one of these structures which each contained countless precious artifacts. Any of these places most likely stored thousands of ancient Sith artifacts Palpatine studied and used for his source of power. One theory which isn't mine is how perhaps Snoke, as part of Project Resurrection, could be a resurrected burnt Anakin from Endor. However, I think I can debunk this variation of a Vader theory by noting Vader was cremated fully into ashes. Also, the only physical way to revive an already dead corpse burnt to that degree would be some kind of dark side magic like the Night Sisters employed, or some insane level of Plagueis Palpatine Sith magic. I would only see this being a thing if Palpatine actually learnt the secret to preventing death or learning resurrection. A less thrilling and more basic theory, and one that most people have already probably thought of what Project Resurrection could be when I thought about it, and perhaps the more obvious way of looking at it at first glance, would be basically describing the First Order reviving or resurrecting the Empire, if you like, since the majority of First Order members in this stage in the timeline are ex-Imperials. This may consist of the training of stormtroopers for the First Order, since Gleb was shown in the cutscene talking to Commander Hask, and she was known for training elite Imperial units like Iden Versio and Hask himself, so it would make sense for her to be part of the plan to train elite stormtroopers who we'd later find were orphans or stolen from parents at birth, or born into the First Order by other methods and given an ID number. If you want me to explain any specific one of these theories of mine that I laid out in this video, please leave a comment below telling me. If you reach the end of this video, make sure you leave a comment below to let me know, and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly Star Wars news and lore videos, and you can also subscribe to my main channel, which is featured on my channel page for film reviews and more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.